Today's show is brought to you by 3C. Comprehensive Cannabis Consulting helps clients design, build, and optimize their cannabis business from initial assessment and planning through operationalization and ongoing management. To learn more about how their services are tailored to meet the unique goals and objectives of each of their clients, go to 3ccannabis.com. And for a limited time, 3C is giving all MJBulls listeners an additional 10% off their fees just for mentioning that you heard it on the show. Go to 3ccannabis.com.
These things have been used in many ways in large scale. And so when you're looking at that and now moving it towards this industry, you now have chemical engineers that know feedback. They know the software planning. They know cleaning validation. Large scale chemical engineers are the wave of the future.
From Bumminett Media, it's the MJBulls Podcast, a show about raising cannabis capital. I'm Dan Humiston, and on today's show, how this investment firm is relying on an industry veteran to identify the cannabis companies that provide investment opportunities based on real technology. Today on the Cannabis Investor Spotlight, we are joined by an old friend, John MacKay, who is now the CTO for NewBridge Global Ventures. John, welcome to the MJBulls Podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to have a chat with you.
Yeah, John and we've known each other for quite some time. John's been in the industry probably longer than I have, but he's made a career change. John, maybe you can give our listeners maybe a little background and then how you ended up at NewBridge Global Ventures.
Oh, absolutely. So thanks. Yeah. So we've known each other for a bit and started off with some of the conventions that Dan was putting together. And on my side, at that time, I was working for a corporation called Waters Corporation, and we were providing analytical tools and extraction tools for the industry at the time. From that time, with the opportunities of the way they were, I took an early retirement. From there, started my own company called Synergistic Technologies Associates. And that business was focused on the consulting and helping people move through the barriers of hemp and cannabis extraction and workflow processes. So I've been doing that for a couple of years now.
You have a PhD, so this isn't like, you're not just jumping into something. You have background in this.
Yeah, so good point. So I do have a PhD in synthetic chemistry from the University of Vermont. And have been fortunate to also be an adjunct professor at the University of Vermont for education, continuing education for the College of Medicine, School of Pharmacology for this branch of science. And have done some education there and helped with a few magazines in the early days. So when going through that process over the last couple of years, I've had an opportunity to help a lot of the people in the industry to move forward on their processes, stop losing money, or to find out where the holes were. Had an opportunity to work with a small company up in New Hampshire called Orange Photonics. I also was approached by a company that I started doing some consulting with called NewBridge Global Ventures, and then had a closer relationship. And then January 1st took over a full-time role as Chief Technical Officer for them, looking for new technology, helping them as a company move forward on all the technology base for the hemp and cannabis industry.
We see every day new investors or investment groups or hedge funds coming into the industry. And one of the challenges that they have coming into the industry is that they don't really know the players. They don't know a lot about the technology within the industry, but there's a big demand to invest in the industry. And that's where a guy like you is very valuable because you know the players. You certainly know the technology. So you can pick and choose the best opportunities based on your past experience. And is that essentially your role over there?
Yes, I would still say, Dan, that I will say 6 out of 7 mornings, I still get up and read for an hour to 2 hours on the most recent technology that's being out there, whether it's through the patents or whether it's through peer-reviewed literature on the different aspects of the cannabis and hemp industry, regulations worldwide, what's happening. So on that side, I'm constantly staying in tune. For this company, that's what I'm doing is I'm providing a lot of that wealth of experience and knowledge. I think one of the things that you rightly bring up is the people that are looking towards the investment see something in a journal or a magazine article, the headlines of the billions of dollars. And rightly so, these people have never had experience in the cannabis industry. And I would probably hasten to say that most of the people I talk to in that role don't use cannabis. That's not part of their lifestyle. That's not something that they do. It's not part of their tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And so now they're moving into investing into something that they don't know anything about. They might have made their fortunes on different hedge for high technology or through the .com or through maybe electronics or making paper envelopes. But somewhere along the way, their expertise was not in this, and nor should it have been.
Right.
It's not part of their tribe.
And it wasn't legal. So there's another.
True.
Yes. So you probably didn't fit within the investor partnership agreements. They could take this, go down this path. But now that it is, a person with your expertise is in high demand. And so let's jump fast forward. The type of companies that you're looking for right now to invest in, or I should say you're looking on behalf of NewBridge Global Ventures to invest in.
Yes, I will say the following. It's even a dead fish in a fast-moving stream looks like it's making progress. So as you move forward with that, there's a lot of things that have come from the small-scale industry, and we'll call it cottage industry or the smaller scale. And now you're moving up to larger scale. You're moving up to the criteria of manufacturing criteria and principles and practices that you have even in the botanical dietary nutritional supplements world, the omega-3s, the omega-9s, the black cohosh, the pepper, all these different things, the spices, for example. These things have been used in many ways in large scale. And so when you're looking at that and now moving it towards this industry, you now have chemical engineers that know feedback. They know the software planning. They know cleaning validation. Large-scale chemical engineers are the wave of the future. So looking at things that not only are allowing the extraction process or the combining process or medicinal or formulation, each one of those has its role, but it goes through a role looking through things that have professional engineers that are involved in the entire process through, engineering change orders or things like that.
Okay. So those within that vertical, is that the type of companies that you're looking for?
Components of a vertical. So it doesn't have to be. So even within, looking at the website, doing tissue culture. So as a company ourselves, we're doing tissue culture so that we know that we have the pure initial plant. Doing cloning, providing tools for making sure that the plants are pure, that the varieties are singular, they're not wavering much. So that's a process. And then from the other side of growing, but also then you have to move towards harvesting. What are the technologies that allow you to harvest 350 acres of hemp in a timely manner, in a way that's safe, and also respectful of the land?
I want to take a minute to tell everyone about an exciting free opportunity that one of our former guests, Good Harvest Company, is offering retail operators and cannabis brand managers in the adult use market. Good Harvest Company is preparing to launch their platform, which uses customers' buying and shopping behaviors to help brands effectively reach their customers. And for a limited time, Good Harvest Company will offer participating companies free access to their data in return for their feedback. To learn more, go to goodharvest.co. So if there's companies out there right now that are listening to the show, or CEOs of companies out there right now that are listening to the show that are in those business sectors and are raising capital, NewBridge Global Ventures would be interested in having a conversation with them.
Yes, and I think up on the website there's a contact button to be able to move that process forward in a formal way.
Okay. Now, let's switch gears here. We have a lot of investors who listen to our show, and some people are skittish on certain investments versus others. This sounds like a good opportunity for them to work through a company like NewBridge Global Ventures. Same route, if they wanted to invest, there's a spot on your website where they can reach out to someone?
Yes. So that same contact button goes to different people depending on what the request is from the email or from that contact information.
Okay. And I didn't ask this earlier, but it's probably pretty relevant. Any particular stage investment that you focus on? For instance, are you looking for early stage companies or more mature companies?
No, there's really not, because much like my other axiom where I want to make sure that analytics are based on statistics and based on numbers, good is not a number. And new and old and mature and immature starting and finish lines, those are all different based on where the people think that they place themselves, and it may not be where other people place them.
Okay. Good to know. So we've been speaking with John MacKay, who is the new CTO at NewBridge Global Ventures. And I'm going to have all of John's email address, and I'll have NewBridge Global's website address and all their information on the MJBulls website. So, but John, thanks for being on the show. I'm excited for you on your new position. Good luck.
Oh, thank you so much, and good luck with this venture. I think it's a great avenue and transport for getting information out there that's accurate, correct, and well done, Dan.
We're going to continue to work together, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right, cheers. Thank you.
Let me take a second to thank Trevitt Hill for sponsoring today's show. Cannabis investors expect big returns from the companies that they invest in. Unfortunately, not all cannabis investments succeed. Trevitt Hill's management team works with investors to help turn around, or in some cases purchase, their underperforming portfolio companies. To learn more, go to trevitthill.com. Thanks for listening to the MJ Bulls podcast. To learn more about today's guest or to become a guest, visit our website at mjbulls.com. Today's show was produced by Bumminit Media with original music composed by Jamie Humiston. I'm Dan Humiston, and you've been listening to the MJ Bulls podcast.